Hi, I thought it made sense to get on here a few days before New Year's and to make some remarks about something that had been brought to my attention by a good friend. This good friend of mine was kind enough to private message me because she was bothered by something I had put up. But because she's my friend, she knew in my heart that I intended to say something positive and not to hurt anybody's feelings or get anybody's back up. The quote in question, or rather the post in question, had to do with a historic, I thought, quote that I had put together with a different, unrelated image in hopes that it might inspire people who felt that they were really going through the ringer in 2020, that they can overcome for 2021. And I know that my friend thought that that was really, truly what my intention was, but she pointed out to me a few things. First, that I had taken totally out of context a historical quote from a famous 19th century to early 20th century figure, Frederick Douglass. And because she was right, I hadn't looked up this quote myself personally, but instead had read what I thought was his quote in another meme or another uh, post online. And I thought, I like that quote. I'm inspired by it. And I simply pulled off of somebody else's page and requoted, I thought. But she pointed out a couple of things. First of all, the person in question, Frederick Douglass, I had spelled his name the way I had read it, not the way his name is really spelled, with two S's and not one. Secondly, I had totally mashed up the quote, the original quote, because again, I had taken what I had read and hadn't gotten back to the original. And in fact, the original quote from Frederick Douglass would have been less appropriately used in the way that I had than the reworked quote, the mashup quote, the down the rabbit trail, down the telephone line quote that I in fact quoted. So to get to the original, this is what my good friend Patty Braga pointed out, that the original quote was the following. Frederick Douglass with the two S's. Quote, "He was whipped oftener who was whipped easiest." This obviously is in reference to literal physical slavery of Black people in the South of the United States that Frederick Douglass had himself endured. And he was talking about historical time frame. I took a mashup of that quote that I'd read elsewhere, and I put it alongside a picture of some ladies wrestling, and I thought maybe it would inspire somebody. But let's put aside what it is I wrote, because it's true, Frederick Douglass went through something that I never went through. I will never go through. And he does deserve to be quoted correctly. So thank you for that, Patty. And to the larger issue, my hope is that those of us out here in cyberland will be like my friend Patty, because while I may not have the moral authority to quote Frederick Douglass either correctly or incorrectly, I hope that I can make reference to a good personal friend. And the point I would make is that I have friends who are close and dear and personal friends, some of whom are over here on this side believing factually that certain things are true, that are worthy of hand-wringing, worthy of posting cynical stuff online, worthy of really getting their knickers all up in a twist. Where on this side, I have other close, dear, personal friends who believe opposite facts and have the same emotional reaction to these opposite facts that they are believing. And I imagine that the same is likely true of many of us out in the world today. Furthermore, all of us have experienced some level of loss, some level of significant change, some level of upheaval in the year 2020. And again, some I know people I've had, personal friends who have said, shh, don't tell anybody, but 2020 was the best year ever. And there are others who, for no fault of their own, had devastating experiences. There are people whose loved ones died in solitary confinement, in hospitals, in nursing homes, alone, because of the way things were in this past year. We all have had different experiences, and we are all going to move into 2021 having to work in some way together. There are people who believe that we all ought to just get along in respect to the political disagreements that are out there in the world. I think that's great. Whatever it is that happens, I hope that we can all do that. The point that I have to note, though, is sometimes it seems that those who are saying hoping for that today were not inclined in that way when it looked as though the results might be a different way. So I hope that we will all put our money where our mouth is. And those who are saying, let's all get along, should things turn out differently than they anticipate, that they will continue to be who they say they're being and do what they are encouraging others to do. I hope that that is the way it will be. And I really do hope that nobody's going to take it personally, that I saw something attributed to Frederick Douglass that was actually something else that I found inspiring. And I used that mashed up quote to say something that I hoped encouraged others. Thank you, Patty Braga, my friend, for knowing my heart and telling me what it is that I had gotten a little bit off. I appreciate that. And let's, good friends, help each other in the way that my good friend did. I hope that we all have a wonderful finish to this very interesting year, and that we will all be able to move ahead together into something powerfully positive in 2021. Have a beautiful rest of your week and a fantastic new year.